did kick off this segment with a look at the Nigerian oil and gas space. Nigeria's oil production is expected to rise by an additional 350,000 barrels per day when the two recently approved projects by the Nigerian units of French Total and America's Exxon Mobil are completed before the end of 2016. To discuss how these projects will impact the local players in Nigeria's oil sector, I'm joined now by Lukman Agbola, head of upstream oil and gas at Diamond Bank. Lukman, thank you so much for joining us. So, of course, the projects that we're talking about are the ones run by the Egina project and the Era North project. But let's focus on the Egina project because we've heard a lot more about that recently. Samsung has been awarded some contracts related to that transaction. We're hearing it's a $15 billion project. So talk us through how the local players are likely to benefit from this transaction.
Yep. Thank you very much, Wale. I think this is one project that is going to showcase how far the local content initiative has gone. Actually, because if you recall, during the bidding process, one of the reasons why those contractors, international contractors that are going to be working on that project, why they were selected was because of the fact that they have a whole lot of local content activities that were included in their bids. Basically, what that means is that a whole lot of Nigerian content is going to be involved in the area of fabrication and all that. As you may be aware, the Nigerian content has insisted that the integration, the FPSO integration has to be done in Nigeria, and I believe that is also ongoing. It is going to be done in Lagos. Generally, the implication of this is that you are going to see a whole lot of activities, especially in the oil servicing space, because that is where the employment is going to be. And as you may be aware, there are a whole lot of, a couple of fabrication yards, rather, that have not been busy in a long while. And I think these projects are going to give them a whole lot of work. Right. That is where the employment generation is going to come in. And I think it is going to go a long way at improving local content so input in the Nigerian oil and gas.
Right. So it's going to drive a lot of activity within local players. But what about financing, though? To what extent are the Nigerian banks, for instance, getting involved in this project?
Most of the funding is going to actually come from foreign banks. Don't actually forget that the companies that are involved in these are very, very big players. And most of them are funding this project offshore. But the important thing is that, of course, because there's going to be a whole lot of local content involvement, it is going to trickle down to the Nigerian banks clearly, because most of those contracts are going to be awarded to Nigerian companies or have already been awarded to Nigerian companies. Don't also forget that each of these international service companies, say in the case of Samsung, FMC Technology, and Saipem particularly, the Nigerian content insisted that each of them should have a local partner, which has already been done. And I believe also that these companies are going to also be awarding contracts to indigenous companies who are still going to be approaching banks to fund those projects. So by and large, Nigerian banks are certainly going to be involved in the project.
Okay, two developments that, of course, are impacting Nigeria's oil and gas sector these days is the oil theft. We hear about that every day. And then, of course, the delay in the passage of the petroleum industry bill. To what extent do you think these factors may derail this project?
The good thing about this project is that they are offshore and they are actually they are unlikely to be affected by oil theft. The oil theft issue has been addressed by the federal government. If you recall, the war has actually been taken internationally. In the recent past, the Minister for Petroleum Resources was out of the country, where she made it clear that, look, the proceeds of the companies or people or individuals that buy this oil are not Nigerians. So if the foreign companies or foreign individuals are not buying this oil, then there's certainly going to be a reduction in oil theft. So it's a case of where there is demand, there will be supply. But I think a whole lot is being done in that area, and certainly that oil theft thing is not going to affect this project.
What about PIB, the PIB itself? Do you think it's a factor here? Very quickly.
Yeah, I think it is a factor, because if you recall, one of the things that has happened is that most of those companies that have that would have invested in Nigeria upstream oil space are not doing so because of that bill. I think while the Egina field and ERA are going on is because the FDI, which is the final investment decision, has been taken before the PIB issue became a very serious issue.
Right.
But the key issue here is the fact that if that PIB is passed in such a way that it benefits all stakeholders, there are going to be a whole lot of ERA and Egina coming up in them.